Welcome to my overview of how I will introduce students to my online safety and sanitation mini course. I start with a brief description of why we're going to be taking this course. I want to give students a little background about why safety and sanitation issues are really important. And I also want to expose them to some of the resources that they're going to be using and learning from throughout the full Family and Consumer Sciences course, which is why we have information from the CDC. Right below that, I wanted to give students some information about Carmen up front. Now, in a high school setting, I'll be working in whatever LMS is available to me. And by the time they get to my class, since it's an elective course, my hope would be that they have experience with the learning system that we have at the school. But that may not always be the case. And the examples I'm thinking of are autumn semester freshmen, students who enroll late, and those who transfer into the school. They may not have experience, so I want to give them resources that they can use for troubleshooting, and I've done that by listing the Resource Center for Carmen, the email address, and the phone number. And then secondly, I've told them that if these options didn't work, they can contact me, but to please do it no later than 36 hours prior to the submission deadline for any assignment that they need to be turning in. That way I have about a day and a half either to do the troubleshooting with them or to bring in someone else who knows more than I do so that we can get the problem resolved. Prior to my 4 content modules, I did create a Getting Started module. I started with Read This First so we can be sure to get everybody started on the right foot. I wanted students to really get a sense of everything that they're going to be using in this course. So obviously they know that the mode is going to be an online learning environment, but online learning environments can be large, and so I want to point them to the specific areas that they'll be looking at. So I've referred them to the content section, the activities section, and the grade section. By looking through each of these pieces, they're going to be able to get a sense of what to expect when. They'll see how their assignments turn into their grades. And that way they'll be able to get an overview picture of what the entire course is going to be like. After we go through these modules, we're going to move to the first activity, and that's going to be the discussion board. On the discussion board, I start with an introduction of myself. I explain to them who I am, why I enjoy teaching family and consumer sciences, and some of my expectations of what my classroom or what my learning environment is going to be like, and what their learning environment is going to be like, so that we can work together to make sure that we learn the content and also create an environment where everybody feels safe to try new things. Because the idea, of course, is to take the safety and sanitation mini course so they can then move into the food lab and be able to try or experiment with different kinds of foods from around the world. Secondly, I give them a discussion assignment that has 2 parts. I will ask them to introduce themselves, list or include a favorite family recipe or meal. Tell us when their family would typically eat the dish, so they could tell us time of day or time of year, and then to state whether or not they've helped prepare the dish themselves. The second part of this discussion assignment is going to come a couple of days later, when I'll ask each student to comment on 2 of their classmates' posts, indicating whether or not they've tasted the dish themselves, and offering a suggestion that they think the classmate would enjoy based on the initial food item that they listed. So they're going to be commenting on the food item and then making a recommendation. And that wraps up pretty much the first week. There are a few other resource items that are available to students. Basically, we have these sections here that are going to be very similar to information that's on the syllabus. So we have prerequisite knowledge and skills. In this case, the most important prerequisite for the class is that the students are either a 9th through 12th grader attending the school that I'm teaching in. And the second most important prerequisite is going to be that they have read, signed, and returned to the main office their student handbook. In the beginning of each year, high schools give students handbooks that detail all of the policies that pertain to students, give a lot of information, including calendar, and students and parents are both supposed to read through this so that everybody's on the same page, we all have the same information, and hopefully we reduce any unexpected situations. And as a teacher, I'm going to be following the guidelines that are set by my school and by my school district. So making sure that students have completed that is really important because I'm held accountable for those policies and I'm going to hold them accountable as well. Lastly, they have to have access to a computer. There are different ways that we can do that. For those students who have a computer at home, they're going to be able to complete the modules at home whenever they're able to do so during a specific time frame. For those students who may not have access to a computer or would prefer to use their time in school to work on these assignments, they may request a pass to visit the Learning Resource Center during either study hall or 30 minutes prior to the start of the school day. That gives them the opportunity to work on the assignments and to be in a space where they will likely have access to a teacher or a monitor who can answer questions about using the technology if they happen to arise. That way we make sure everybody has access to the technology that they need and they're able to complete the assignments. When we look at policies, I want to lay out the grading scale for students right up front, and so I've done that. I also talked about the required text. We won't have an additional text for this mini course. All the content will be provided online, which makes it convenient for students. They can access it from a variety of places. They won't have to carry a book with them. Their readings and assignments are listed in the Carmen course content area and the Carmen course calendar document. For policies on late assignments, considering this is a short time frame and a mini course, it's really important that students get their assignments in on time. But if they are going to be delayed, they can contact me, again, no later than 36 hours prior to the due date, and we can negotiate some alternative. Academic conduct is going to be one of those issues, again, that is in alignment with the student handbook. It's dictated by the school, in many cases the district, so we will be, again, complying with those. And feedback. When students are requesting my feedback, I want them to know when I'm going to be checking in with them as a class online. And so I want them to know that, I won't be accessible 24 hours a day, but I am making a commitment to be available to check in 3 times per week so that I see if any questions are developing. I can monitor any discussion that's happening between students, and hopefully we can move forward without any problems. Etiquette in this context is basically about respect. Since students do have in-person classes together and they have read the student handbook, we hope that students are going to be able to treat each other with respect, and we won't have anything like either academic dishonesty or bullying issues that come up. And I address that elsewhere in this mini course. For technology, participants again are going to be required to do their work online, and we outlined that already in the Read This First article of this content section. Okay, we're back into the introduction for the course, and now we're going to look at the course calendar. We have several dates that students need to be aware of, and they're going to be for various assignments and weekly quizzes. And so we start off with the discussion board activity, which we just recently looked at. We also have dates for students to complete Quizlet card assignments, for taking quizzes, and then taking the final assessment. And so all of these are laid out here, so students are able to see when their assignments are going to be due. For technology, I just wanted to give them a little bit more information about what they'll actually be doing in the course. All of this will be covered in the assignment design, but in terms of giving them an overview of what they'll be doing with technology, obviously first they'll need to have access to a computer, and we discussed that earlier. We have options of using it at home or using the Learning Resource Center either before school or during study hall. If there's some other issue that pops up for some reason, again, I always encourage students to contact me so that we can find an alternative. In addition, students are going to be required to do online searches, so they'll need to know how to use a web browser. There are certain applets that we'll be using for completing the assignments, and use of Microsoft Office products are also going to be used throughout this mini course, and I'm talking about Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And lastly, we arrive at the syllabus. I include my contact information, including my Skype address if somebody wants to video chat. I go through the course objectives and goals so that students have, again, a sense of why they're doing this and what they can expect as they move through. I talk about the course structure, the prerequisite knowledge and skills, the required text and grading scale, what they need to know for getting started with their readings and assignments, what my policy is on late assignments, what I expect for academic conduct, feedback, online etiquette, and their technology use. And then again, I've placed here a copy of the course calendar so they have that information available to them in multiple places.